Hello everyone, my name is Ronaldo Manurung and I am from 7B. I will explain about psycholinguistics, how children learn language. Language acquisition. Language acquisition is the process by which language develops in humans. First, language acquisition concerns the development of language in children. Second, language acquisition focus on language development in adults. Historically, theories and theorists may have emphasized either nature or nature as the most important explanatory factor for acquisition. Chomsky's universal grammar. Children are born with a hardware language acquisition device or LED in their brains. Without an innate ability for language, human infant will be incapable of learning such complete speech pattern in a natural human environment. Learning condition of L1. The L1 is picked up at home in the most natural situation, guided and controlled by those who are near and dear to a child. The learning of L1 takes place along with other aspects of biological growth such as walking. The learning of L1 is governed by the principle of proximity, usefulness, concreteness, particularity, and interest. Factor affecting of L1 acquisition. There is some factor of affecting L1 acquisition. The first is physical environment. Physical environment is like the material surrounding of a child. For example, dog, house, cat, tree, and table. And then social environment is like family and neighbor. And then physical and economic resource is like the economical condition of the family. And the last is motivation. Motivation divided into parts. The first is internal and external. Internal is like the need for food, warmth, shelter, constant care, love, and affection. And then external is like social interaction, self-expression, creative behavior. For example, children sometimes talk to cat, dog, or dolls. Stages of language acquisition. There is 5 stages of language acquisition. The first is pre-babbling. It is difficult to test children when they are first born. We can measure their interest in speech sound by measuring their sucking rate. By doing this, we have discovered that they come pre-equipped to have phonetic contrast even for language not spoken around them. The first cry of an infant function as the crude starting point which make possible all activities of the lungs and the speech organs. And then babbling. Sounds produced in the first few months after birth, which include sounds that do and do not occur in the language of the household. Even if children babble, they seem to be testing out their vocal apparatus and perhaps turning the articulation to their own audition. They babble with hand gestures similar to the vocal babbling of hearing children. Even if children babble, they seem to be testing out their vocal apparatus and perhaps tuning the articulation to their own audition. They babble with hand gestures similar to the vocal babbling of hearing children. And the third is holo practice. Refers to the one-word stage in which children produce one-word sentence, usually between 12 and 18 months. At this stage, utterance are one word long, though they often contain complex messages. Children have been shown to understand difference in word order at this stage, even though they can produce sentences with different words order. Two-word stage. Around the beginning of the second years, children begin to produce sentences of two words with clear synthetic and semantic relation. Most children go through a state where sentence seems to be limited to words. There can be a large variety of two-word patterns, however, and the sentence continue to encode much more complex meaning. And the last is telegraphic speech. Utterance of children after two-word stage when many grammatical morphemes are omitted. After two-word stage, there is an explosion in the child capacity to form sentences, and development patterns are more difficult to describe. At this point, it is better to simply test particular aspect and contraction from adults' grammar to determine which aspect the children have acquired. MLU or mean length of utterance, a measure used to refer to the number of words or morpheme in a child utterance. More accurate measure of acquisition stage than chronological age of a child. So this is my explanation about psycholinguistic. Thank you for your attention.